everybody. How we doing out there? Doc Severson with you here on Thursday, the 28th of February. Welcome to the end of the month. For those of you in Australia, you're already experiencing the new day. Hello, everybody. Great to see you guys out there. I'm Doc down here in the lower right-hand corner. I'm going to be with you guys for about the next hour here and walking you through the top 10 reasons to trade futures in 2019. So I'm going to disappear down in the lower right-hand corner and just go to just the slide view only. So I'll be in the background hanging out with you guys. All right. So let's get into it here without further ado. Standard risk disclosure. I'm not going to walk you guys through this. Please, when you trade it like a business and don't treat it like a hobby like so many people do. Okay. So a special welcome out there to all of our new Omnia members, and we'll get into what Omnia is tonight. So tonight, my goal is to share some guidance on the why and how of trading futures, and I'll reveal the top 10 reasons for you to start to look at the futures market in crypto. Big things are happening right now. All right, let's see. I want to make sure everything is working for you guys. Apparently, it looks like it's working okay. Awesome. So I've got about 45 minutes of material. That's how long I think this takes, about 45 minutes, and then I'll wrap and I'll take questions for about the next 15 minutes. After that, we'll be done at the top of the hour. Do me a favor, if you guys could please hold your questions until the Q&A period. I've had to learn this the hard way, not to take questions during the session, because otherwise we'll be here 3 hours from now, and you guys don't want that. All right. Everybody's got this picture of shame out there, don't they? Right? It's like you're trying to hold everything in one hand while you're taking a photo with the other hand and try to frame your shot into there. But that's the Doc. I'm a husband, father of 3, student pilot, former product engineer. I'm that guy that was working a full-time job and walked into my boss's office one day and said, I quit. That was at the very beginning of 2006, and I've been trading on my own since that point. Trading full time. So living the dream. So I've been almost at gunpoint. I got talked into teaching people, because what I found was that once you learn how to do something and you get over the hill and you conquer that, is that I had a line at my front door knocking on the door saying, hey, could you teach me? I'm like, all right, okay, that's cool. So I've been trading myself for about the last 23 years. So I've caught several bubbles during my life, which is kind of fun, both up and down, a couple of bear markets to go through and everything like that. Hey, how we doing out there? All right. So something else that I learned was that there's a very definite mental component to trading. If you haven't figured that out yet, you will. And that's why I wrote this book that's out on Amazon called Hacking the Holy Grail. Everybody's looking for the Holy Grail of trading, that riskless strategy that that never loses, right? Everybody's looking for that. All the questions over the years I've gotten from people, hey, Doc, what's the most conservative strategy out there that I can't lose any money at, but it wins every time? And my answer to that is usually certificate of deposit, money market funds. If there is no risk, there is no reward. So we have to teach our brain how to handle that risk and seek reward. All right, what is the problem we're going to solve here today? Why are we getting together to talk about something that vexes us? Well, the problem is trading a choppy, downtrending market is not the easiest thing to do out there. So we have some issues with that. So you guys been block following much these days? Well, I think every time we get a green candle, I'm seeing my news feed explode like, here it comes. And then there it goes the next day, right? So if you feel like you're holding your breath every time we see an actual green candle, you are not alone. You're not alone. So we focus on what we fear. Think about that for a second. We focus on what we fear, and this is what causes things like target fixation. So if anybody out there has ever ridden a motorcycle, this is a very real thing that you can get into target fixation. You can actually steer into the very object that you're trying to avoid. we do the same thing when it comes to trading. We tend to focus on what we fear. So we've got a position working against us, and the next thing that we know, we can't take our eyes off of it, and we lose out on all the opportunity around us, which is happening. So again, I want to show you guys ways that you can take advantage of this opportunity, make what appears to be a bad situation into opportunity, which is important. So after today's presentation, I hope you guys will have a slightly different outlook on what's happening around you. And you'll see some alternatives and options on what you can do about it. I want to empower you guys today. So without further ado, here are the top 10 reasons on why you should be using crypto futures in 2019. Reason number 1, trading to the short side. Hello, that's probably the number 1 reason for most people. So which way has the price been going for the past year and a bit here? Well, of course, it's been going to the downside. Everybody knows that. So eventually somebody will buy the bottom tick of the market. I always say that there is no medals given out for getting the bottom tick of the market, but somebody will hold it up there and say, I got the very bottom tick. Meanwhile, everybody keeps trying to buy the dip. So unless you've been able to trade to the short side, you're missing out on half the market movement. And more than likely right now, you're getting impatient, right? Everybody is getting impatient. When Moon, when Lambo, that's all I ever see in the chat rooms these days. When Moon, when will this thing take off again? Like anybody knows. Little secret for you is that nobody can predict the future. Least of all, somebody that has years of experience doing technical analysis. Just not feasible. We deal in probabilities, not predicting the future. But that's a whole different webinar for a different day. So currently, guys, there's limited choices to trade spot crypto to the short side. I'm sure you guys will bring up a couple of different brokers here and say, yeah, well, what about Bitfinex? I can trade to the short side with Bitfinex. That's true, but you got to set up a margin account. You got to pay short interest if you sell to open. It requires a fairly large account to do so. And this is one thing that you guys have to understand, is that when you trade to the short side, you have to have excellent risk discipline. Otherwise, you will see what's known as a short squeeze, and you're going to hang on through that thing and hope that it drops again. And usually it doesn't work out too well. So the bottom line here is that few brokers allow naked short selling. So it's going to kind of crimp your style. Yeah, when Moon, right? So here we have an answer. Futures contracts are ambidextrous. They're direction agnostic. We can sell to open the position just as easily as buying to open. So this is a boon for a lot of people, that you can trade futures and take advantage of both sides of the market. And so that's probably the number 1 reason. So reason number 2 is that this does work in smaller accounts. So let's go through an example here. If you see BTC versus the US dollar go from 39.34, so here's the move, 39.34 to 38.94. So that's a $40 move. If you're holding one whole BTC of the spot currency, you make 40 bucks, you get 1% on your money. Okay, do that enough times and that'll make a difference, but 1% on a return is kind of low. On the other hand, if you're using a futures contract, something like a 100-to-1 leverage on this, and a lot of people get freaked out by the leverage on 100-to-1, but it's actually a very standard value. This is what options contracts have used forever, since the 70s. Where one option contract is leveraging the gains and losses of 100 shares of underlying stock. So there's a reason why 100-to-1 tends to come up quite often. So it will allow you, in this case, the futures contract, or what I call a synthetic contract, perpetual swaps, will allow you to enter the same position with $39 of initial margin. You don't have to hold a $3,900 one BTC position. And if it moves 40 bucks, that's 100% return on margin in this short trade with the same profit. So before you guys jump on me here, leverage is a double-edged sword. I get that. So I am not out there pimping that everybody should be trading 100 times leverage with their entire account. No, of course not. You still have to use the same risk management rules. There's 2 risk management rules that I insist on for every single trade. Number 1, define your exit before you enter. And number 2, risk no more than 2% in every position. So that's rules number 1 and 2 of risk management. So this is why small account holders must be experts in the field of risk management. You have no room for error. You're like a pilot flying over the tops of the trees. You don't have any room to dip a wing. You're going to get snagged by a tree branch and auger in, and that's no fun for anybody. Let's get to reason number 3. Volatility not required. Volatility not required. So I remember back when in 2017 where we had 1,000-point days. Those were amazing, weren't they? Once in a lifetime kind of a move. Well, maybe not. Once every 5-year type move, maybe. So 1,000-point days, that was amazing, right? So the movement and volatility compensated for the fact that few of you could actually buy a whole BTC and leverage that, right? So we're dealing with these Satoshi-sized positions and trying to leverage these $1,000 days. And, that works out great when everything's moving like that, even to the downside if you can get a short position in play. But lately, we've hardly had a pulse in the crypto markets. It's not been fun. It's been very grindy price action. And this is why, because we're in a larger time frame consolidation pattern. So the context absolutely matches for what we're seeing. Range expansion in November has led to range contraction since that point. But be forewarned, we're sitting on a fairly large move right now. There's a lot of potential for a big move to erupt literally any day. But the problem is, that's all perspective though. It's the perspective of what time frame you're looking at. If you zoom in, then all of a sudden you can see a lot of different movement. So if I go into a 1-hour chart like this, all of a sudden there's tons of movement for me to work. And that plays to a leveraged instrument like a futures contract. Reason number 4, we're flying through these. It is an ideal directional instrument. The comments that I make here today do not currently apply to all vendors. You guys can figure out which ones that I'm not picking on here. So you should definitely vote with your wallet after you understand their entire and complete offering. And this is the great thing here, guys, is literally every single day my inbox is lighting up with another new vendor coming into the space. Guess what? When you rent the most expensive real estate in Hong Kong, you tend to put a big target on your back, and there's a lot of people that are after mighty mechs these days and trying to get just a small portion of their business, and they're going to work hard for it too. So understand what is available that's out there in the workspace, which favors you. So what I'm interested in a directional instrument is an instrument that's equally linear, short as long. Now, linear means that if something like moves down a certain number of points, then I can predict ahead of time what the contract is going to be worth if it gets down to that level. And there's no compression or there's no skew to the pricing of that instrument. So I want to know that if BTC drops by 100 points, that I will make $100 on the position. Just the same that if it gains 100 points, then I can make $100. Right? Without some kind of distortion that's being introduced through the manufacturing or generation of that synthetic contract. So in most cases, this is something I need to look at carefully for these synthetics, but for the most part is out there. It is a directional instrument without parallel. So knowing which vendors bias against short positions is also important, as every little bit of friction is edge being lost from your trade. Now we'll get into reason number 5, commission-free futures. Commission-free futures. Some vendors, like Digitex, are proposing commission-free futures trading, and then some other vendors are getting nervous about that by offering commission-free trading days. So Prime XBT is going to be free for trading tomorrow. And Digitex is supposed to be announcing something big tomorrow. I don't know what it is. Maybe somebody does. But Digitex is going to be incredible. If they can get their platform to market, we're going to have commission-free futures trading. So this means that you can trade smaller time frames and trade more frequently, reducing your time exposure. Think about this lately, guys. How much has it meant? You wake up in the morning and all of a sudden you check your Blockfolio or check some kind of charting program, and all of a sudden you've seen BTC drop 200 points or rise 200 points overnight. So there's a lot of overnight hold risk in the market these days, because when markets get quiet like this, range contraction leads to range expansion and the big moves come. And it may be while you're sleeping, and that's not cool. So one of the great things about risk management is if you can, for the most part, be on the sideline and in cash while you sleep or while you can't manage the market or monitor the market, that is one very powerful form of risk control, is to minimize your time exposure. The core infrastructure of cryptocurrency tokens is making this trader's dream. This is truly a trader's dream, to be able to trade commission-free, frictionless trading in the marketplace. So I'm excited about it. If you only buy and sell positions, only occasionally, it might not make that much of a difference to you. But if you trade intraday, this is great news. Now we'll get into reason number 6, which is the ladder interface. So a lot of you folks out there probably don't know what a ladder interface is. And I don't know if you'll know how to use one after the next couple of minutes here, but I want to expose this to you and let you know that such a tool exists. So I've never seen a ladder anywhere else other than futures trading. And it offers the trader what I believe to be a superior interface for this style of trading. So here is TDAmeritrade. This is a US-based broker, and I can trade on TDAmeritrade. I can trade Bitcoin futures with this. I can trade NASDAQ futures. I can trade bond futures or anything like that. So what I want to show you this is that here are the bids. So here's the bids and here's the offers here. If I want to go long, there's 4 ways to do this. So what I can do is I can put in a buy limit, which is under the price. Here's the price itself here. It just goes up and down the ladder. The price goes up and down the ladder. So I can put in a buy limit order. So I'm going to look for a pullback with a buy limit order, or I can look for a breakout by putting a buy stop order in up here on this side. Okay, if I want to go to the short side, if I want to take a pullback trade to the short side, I can put a sell limit order in above the current price. So it's going to creep up here, fill me at this level. And then what I would want to see is a sell stop down here. So a sell stop entry order could be as if you want to take yourself into a breakdown. So there's 4 different types of orders that I can place on this, which gives me a tremendous amount of flexibility. And also, if you look carefully at this, what I have is what's called a bracket order, or one cancels other. So if I were to enter my position here, what I'm going to have is a sell stop down here, which is below the market price. If this is a long position. I enter it on the bid side. So I have sell stops down here. This is my trade sell stops, right? If it goes in the opposite direction, I want to be closed out and just say, look, I was wrong. Let's get me out of this position and limit my loss. But if it goes in my direction, what I want to do is I want to take what's called risk out. Here's the first trade. What basically, if I get that one to fire off, then I cannot lose money in this trade, because what will happen is the stop will get trailed up and it will follow and we'll get to the point of break even. Here's another sell limit, which will sell my position out. If it goes way, it's going to have to go way up here to fire this one. That's 15 points above where the current entry price is. But we're looking for a reward to risk on here, which is above 1-to-1. And that's what this type of trade can do. So there's automation then to bracket. This is an awesome interface to use. And this is actually not even the best one that's out there. There's many other brackets. And and ladder interfaces that are much, much better than the one that TDAmeritrade does. Okay, so here's an example of, this is off of Digitex's website, so this is not their actual interface. I'm just looking at a representation, not drawn to scale, right? So the same thing is happening here. Here's the bid side here, here's the offer side, here's the price of Bitcoin going up and down the ladder. I like where this is going. I could deal with prices like that again. So again, if I want to enter long, I'm going to enter a limit order below the price, or I can enter a buy stop above the price. Same kind of thing. It's a very visual way to manage a trade. It's going to be how, if a true futures broker is out there, they will eventually want to be adding a ladder interface. And Adam understands that. Adam Todd understands that at Digitex. He's written ladders before. He understands what they are. And this is the way to go if you're going to trade futures, is eventually you want to work towards a ladder interface. Okay, enough said about that. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Reason number 7 to trade futures in the crypto space: follow the money. You always want to follow the money when you're in financial markets. Where does the money trade? You want to be trading where the big money is trading. And don't let all this talk of whales and institutions scare you guys, because look, this has been happening for well over 100 years in other financial markets, that the retail trader has traded alongside the big boys, the big institutions, and we let them do the blocking and tackling for this. We just ride behind them, almost like how a remora attaches itself to a shark and goes for the ride. So follow the money. Here's a picture of the NYMEX, the New York Mercantile Exchange. So futures contracts are typically traded in one of these huge pit exchanges, which are actually dinosaurs. They're going away. But for the advantages that we've talked about, they're using them to establish positions. They're also using them to manage risk, hedge off risk. So you might be even taking an opposite position to a huge holding that you have just to maintain your delta risk on the position. Futures are what these billion-dollar-plus institutions are using to control their portfolio risk. So big institutions will hedge their crypto portfolios with futures as well when they get to that point. So big institutions, big money equals liquidity. You should always be after liquidity. The problem is when you don't have liquidity, this is when you get the stop hunts that are happening out there. This is when you get the air pockets where all of a sudden something will drop 400 points in a matter of seconds, wipe out the stops, and then push it back up again. Liquidity and big money will solve that issue. This is what we've dealt with in the equity space for a long time. So guess what? We're already seeing this in the cryptocurrency markets. We're already seeing, in this case, if you look at CoinMarketCap and if you go out to Bitcoin and say, where is Bitcoin traded? What exchanges? Guess what is number 1 out there? The number 1 exchange for Bitcoin is actually BitMEX. And you can see this under the category as derivatives. A futures contract is a derivative. Don't let the name scare you. But it's not the spot currency. It's a derivative. And is responsible for the greatest, on a histogram, is responsible for the greatest percentage on an individual basis of Bitcoin volume there. So follow the money. Reason number 8, we're chewing through these things just fine here. Reason number 8 is that it works for the bull too. So just because we said that crypto futures are great for the short side doesn't mean it doesn't work to the long side as well too. So 2019's gotten off to a very choppy start, but didn't we see the same thing in 2015? Yes, we did. So the same thing. It got started and then it failed. It got started and then it failed. And it got started and then it failed. And then finally it started to move. And it took the better part of a year before it got off the ground. So markets don't, the lightning does not strike in the same place twice, so we're not going to see the same exact move from this, but building a base seems to make sense at where the current price levels are. The only thing that we're kind of missing from the current market is any sense of capitulation. We haven't gotten to our capitulation volume spikes in yet, and that will be a very positive thing to say on that. Okay. Hey guys, I'll take questions in just a few minutes here once I get finished, and then I'll open it up for the Q&A session. This type of volatility is ideal for a futures trader. We don't care which way the market goes. We don't care. We don't get complacent when the market rallies. We don't get sad and we don't get fearful when the market sells off. We can trade both sides of the market. We don't care. And ideally, you're in cash overnight. So you wake up every day, you got a brand new market. You got to trade the market that you have and not the market that you want. And trading futures allows you to do that. Futures are just as ideal to capture price movement to the upside. I'm glad to see the Ripple Army is here with us today. Reason number 9 is, wait a minute, but I'm a hodler. What do I do? So if you're a hodler, you're going to be looking at this stuff and saying, I don't trade this short-term stuff. I'm buy and hold. I'm into crypto for life, dude. Right? So futures contracts can still be useful to you to represent a way to add short and long deltas to your current crypto portfolio. So you can act like you're an institution as well, too. Right? So this is what they do. They hedge off their risk with their portfolios. There's no reason why you can't do the same thing. This can allow you to act like an institution, hedge your portfolio to the downside. If you're concerned of risk of the thing hitting 3,000 again or 2,000 or 1,000, you can take advantage of that. There's futures contracts have been used to hedge off risk for years. A great example of this was in 2008, where Southwest Airlines bought long oil contracts on futures as a risk hedge against the price of oil going sky high, which is what happened in 2008. So what they did not have to do was to raise prices to their customer base. That allowed them to keep their profit margins. They made money on their futures contracts, a lot of money on their futures contracts, and were able to subsidize their fuel costs. So there's a huge advantage for learning how to do this sort of thing. Again, certain brokers are better than others for this purpose because many of these futures brokers have what I'll call overnight drag. There's cost to carry that happens overnight. So if you hold a contract overnight, you're going to get charged a fee for that, whereas holding it, opening and closing it during the day is just a commission fee. But there's an overnight drag on some of these contracts that you need to know about. And now we get to reason number 10 for you to trade futures contracts in the crypto market. Now, a lot of people say, yeah, but there's just Bitcoin. Well, I need something other than Bitcoin because I can't just watch one market during the day. So even though BTC is still king, it's helpful to have alternatives if something else is moving. We've seen that lately. We've seen Ripple take off for a day or two and then get squashed back down. We've seen Ethereum all of a sudden catch a bid and then get squashed back down, right? So we see occasional coins, even in the top 10, will get a real bid underneath them or get drubbed. And either way, it represents opportunity, right? So the traditional futures contracts, which were drafted in 2017, which are the CBOE and CME contracts, are BTC only, and they don't trade on the weekends. That is no bueno. Not good. Not good, but at least they're functional because there's no cost to carry on them. BitMEX does have several instruments to trade, so we can see that the Mighty Mex has got, ones like, it's got XBT Bitcoin, Bitcoin Yen, Cardano, Cash, EOS, Ethereum, Litecoin, Tron, Ripple, and Bitcoin Yuan. So there's several instruments to trade if you want to go with BitMEX or even some of these other vendors, which are fairly new, like Bex Plus or Prime XBT. will have a common list of traded products. Usually it's something that's going to be in the top 10 of market cap across crypto. That's what you want because, again, you want that liquidity. You want that liquidity. So welcome aboard. If you guys are just joined us here, we're talking about the top 10 reasons why you want to be looking at trading crypto futures in 2019. And the offerings just get better and better and better. Okay, so we're going to be wrapping up here in just a couple of minutes. So if you are not totally sold yet, let's see an example trade. I took this one the other day. It's just like hunting for a trade. And what I'm looking for is, if you guys are familiar with what I do with the fractals, I'm looking for different time frames here. And if we look at this, we've got a 25x chart, which is a 5-hour chart on the left-hand side. In the middle is a 1-hour chart, which is what I call the 5x, or this is 5 times faster than that anchor chart on the left-hand side. And then finally, off to the right-hand side, we have the 1x chart, or in this case, 12 minutes. So each of these are a factor of 5 from each other. And what I'm looking to do is, using the chart on the left-hand side, which is the anchor chart, I want to trade in the direction of the anchor chart swing, which is going this way. So that's my goal. And I want to use the signal chart over here to give me a signal as to when to go. And if this study looks familiar, it's because we're going to give this to you in just a minute. I'll show you where to go to get it. If you go into the comments in the YouTube, don't go there yet. Wait till the end of this today. But this is the signal I'm looking for to go long on this guy. And then the 5x chart in the middle, what I want to do is I want to make sure it's at least got a certain minimum level of energy to support the trade. Okay, so I had everything going that I wanted. I had momentum, and I had a signal down here. So I said, okay, let's go long the contract. So here's the fractal setup on a BTC USD. Trading in the direction of the anchor chart swing, 25x long. 5x chart. Is there enough gas in the tank to support this trade? Yes, there is. And then we're trading in the direction of 5x momentum, which helps. So imagine this, like it's almost like a little bunch of ducks in a row, walking in a row. Everybody's heading in the same direction. Or you could think of this as almost like a bike peloton in a race, where it's like everybody's helping everybody else in terms of wind velocity and air resistance. So we're taking the entry on the 1x transition to an uptrend. And if we have all the time frames running in the same direction, this is where we get a very powerful move. Just to give you a visual on something like this, if we're going from point A, let's say you're walking your dog, all right? You're walking your dog, and I tend to walk my dog from point A to point B. I'm on a mission to get from point A to point B, but the dog is on a leash, and the dog is going to sniff and wander all over the place like this, right? It's going to wander to the extent of the length of the leash, and then he's going to go in the opposite direction. Well, aren't we looking to do the same thing here? This is kind of the same thing. The purple line is almost the smaller time frame chart that works in conjunction, kind of wanders around the place with the larger time frame chart. So what I want to do is I want to just look for these situations where both of them are starting to work in the same direction. Don't want to wait too long. Don't want to wait too long. This is the long signal that we're looking for. Because we know at the end of the day, the pink line is going to end up at the same place, point B, the same as a larger time frame. So it's a very powerful move when this happens. So let's see what happened to this. Now, notice that the 25x chart barely nudged, right? This thing barely moved at all. You could barely see the movement of it. But there's actually a pretty nice looking swing here. There's a nice little swing here that happened on the 1x and the 5x chart. And that's all that we're doing. We're just taking advantage of some of this intraday volatility when all the edges are in our favor. Okay, so there's the entry. Here's the exit for the trade. No big deal. You know, we're not asking for a lot. We're not greedy. We're not like, okay, I'm going to enter down here and I'm going to exit. So I'll enter down here and I'll exit when the price gets back up to 4,300. Well, I don't know if that's going to happen. And that may happen weeks from now. Or that may happen months from now. I don't know. So all I want to do is just get my fair share of this move. Just want to get my fair share of this move. So don't want to get greedy. Just nibble away. Very high probability setup. So let's look at the numbers here. So I was leveraging 1 BTC in this platform. So the initial margin was only 39 bucks. So that's, now this is not the way we trade, but basically what the broker was saying was, you got to have at least $39 of capital in your account for me to even set up this trade, as long as the price doesn't even go against you. So we want to have a lot more than this in our account to be able to absorb a little bit of volatility. Gross profits on this thing was 16 bucks, so 41% return on margin. That's a pretty nice return for just an hour's worth of work, just sitting there doing nothing, right? Commissions were relatively expensive. It's a very simple trade to do with a small account. So do one of these a day and all of a sudden you're talking about real numbers. And also managing risk on the trade that doesn't work for you. So the RSI Laguerre study is the study that's down at the bottom of the chart. So we've got a free PDF download. If you look underneath today's video and go down into the, not the comments, but the verbiage that's right underneath the video, you'll see a free PDF download link. And so download the booklet here. The booklet shows you how to get to the free download link from TradingView. And so you're welcome to download that and view that. I think it's one of the most accurate and responsive studies that's out there. The blue line is actually RSI in Laguerre time, which is not a linear time series. It's a very advanced study, very advanced indicator, and I think is great for intraday. So please use that in good health and let us know if there's anything else you want to know about that. So let's do a quick recap and then I'll get into your questions here. 10 reasons for futures in 2019. Recap. Trading to the short side. It's good for smaller accounts. It works in low volatility conditions like the ones that we're seeing right now. It's an ideal directional instrument, and commission-free futures trading is coming soon. Maybe any day now. Can't wait for that. You can trade via the ladder interface on some vendors, which is phenomenal. You'll never go back. Follow the money. This is where the big money is coming into crypto. It's not necessarily the spot market, guys. It's going to be in the derivatives market. And it works for the bull as well as the bear. And the hedged hodler can find use and application for this as well, too. And you've also got multiple instruments to trade. So, guys, this is not a definitive list as far as the advantages of using futures. I've been trading futures now since, oh gosh, about 15 years now. And it is the only way to trade directionally. It really is. It's the only way to trade directionally. So I've been waiting these past couple of years for crypto to grow up. So once I saw what was happening in this space in crypto, I was like, wait until we get derivatives into this space, because the big money, and that's the big liquidity that we're looking for, is not going to come in until they can manage their risk a little bit better than they can right now. That's why all of these firms are sort of dipping their toe into the market and saying, well, yeah, we're thinking about crypto. But quite honestly, they're not going to be comfortable entering the market until they have a full set of derivatives that they can manage risk with. That's what these guys do for a living, is that they manage risk. So I'm sharing these reasons with you today with the hope, and hopefully I made some connections with you guys that you can, you learned something new today, and maybe you'll have some confidence to trade this and to try something new. But this is not going to work unless you apply it properly. So don't be like 99% of other retail traders. Just stumble in, open up an account, and wonder why they got into the BitMEX wrecked Twitter feed. That is not the way to do it. You've got to have the right approach towards doing this. So futures are simple to understand, but for those of you that do want to take your trading to the next level, I do have more to offer, of course, for those that are ready for it. And that is the ReadySetCrypto Futures Trading Masterclass. So if you guys know anything about our masterclasses, they are pretty intense, right? There's a lot of detail to them. We cover everything We leave no stone unturned when it comes to this, because I want to give you guys the best possible advantage to convert your capital into profits. So let's talk about this for a minute. What is this masterclass? I am the instructor for it. There's well over 10 hours of video content in here. Now, if you were just to buy the class, there's a $149 one-time charge on sale for $99 today. Discount disappears over the weekend, but don't act on that just yet. I want to talk to you about something. Now, here's what we'll cover in the masterclass. So if you're curious as to what's in there, and I'll show you an example of this in here in a second. So number one, what are futures and why trade them? How do you trade futures for a profit? How do you build a trading framework for futures? So trading framework is, how do you get good at something? How do you identify your errors? How do you improve yourself? How do you create structure around your trading? How do you create a business plan for making money by trading futures? I'm going to cover all of that in Module 3. Number 4, what is your trading niche and how do you define it? You don't want to be a jack of all trades. You'll end up being a master of none. So pick one niche and get really, really good at it. That's how I was able to quit my job. Number 5, creating a fractal trading system for futures with the RSI Laguerre study. That's like the example that I just showed you guys a minute ago. Risk management for futures. How do you manage your risk, right? You want to be managing the risk so that you take small losers and let your winners run. Adapting to changes in volatility. We have a different market today than we did last year or the year before that. Trading effectively is all about adapting to change. Number 8, this is actually the exciting part here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do an individual module for each of these brokers. So I'm going to do a module on how to use BitMEX. I'm going to do a module on how to use Digitex, TDAmeritrade, Backed when it comes out, NASDAQ when they come out. Prime XBT is out since the beginning of this month now. BEX Plus is out now. Like I said, my inbox is being peppered with these things, literally coming out just about every single day. Number 9, adopting a futures trading mindset. If you don't get to this topic, now you will eventually get to this topic, because futures trading will make sure that you have the right trading mindset before you can profit from this. And then, of course, number 10 is program summary. So this is a very, very deep, very, very thorough and exhaustive program to go through, right? It's a complete package to show you how to harvest short-term edge in the crypto markets using these new futures contracts for 2019, right? Don't do it like everybody else does and just fund an account and let me see what I can do. Let me just play with this for a while and let me see what I can do. I would rather you send your money to a decent charity instead of doing that. You will end up funding somebody else's account if you use the same methods that everybody else does. Don't do it that way. Follow the right approach. I can show you how to do that. This is what the masterclass looks like. This is our website here. And so each one of these, so for each module that I have, each training module, you're going to have a written ebook which describes everything. Typically, these are anywhere from 10 to 20 pages long per module. Module video, this one in particular, I think is 38 minutes long. And then you can test your knowledge with a quiz, an electronic quiz, which comes up and will test you on the specific knowledge of that chapter. And then that builds on to the next module. You can move on to there. And so this is not something you go through and just read in an afternoon. This is a tool set that you can use literally for the rest of your career if you want to, because all of these are serious professional concepts in application. So again, I'm going to show you how to get a sale price in the class. I talked about the prices before, but quite honestly, I don't want you to buy it until I show you something different. This is what I consider to be the better deal. So here's the class. If you want to get the class, this is a one-time, it's on sale one time until Monday for 99 bucks. Not available to the public, only at this link. So ReadySetCrypto.com/futures. If you go to our store today, you'll see it for $149. You got to use this link to get the sale price. But I don't want you to do this just yet. If you like services like Netflix and Hulu and all you can eat, right? So you pay one subscription fee and then you get a whole ton of stuff and you can choose what you want to. If you like that concept, then welcome to ReadySetCrypto Omnia. Now, Omnia is Latin for everything. Omnia is for everything. So if you sign up for the Omnia service, you get access to our 5 times a week premium newsletter. We go through what's going on in the market. I go through a video analysis every day. Check this out. You have access to all of our crypto classes. I'll show you those in just a minute here. So you can look at all of that. You can attend our private webinars. We give 1 or 2 private webinars a week to our Omnia members. I do what's called weekly trade school. So a trade school is where we take a trading topic, very specific trading topic, whether it's mindset, whether it's journaling, whether it's risk management, whether it's some type of tool, whether it's some type of chart pattern, looking at things like that. So every week we're doing trade schools. This is awesome. Our online community and insider trading group we have an entire Discord site that's out there and really, really sharp people on board here. So you're not going to be trading alone and figuring this out on your own. And we've got our own private futures trading group that we just built as well too. So anybody that has experience with a certain vendor, you can ask them about it and like, hey, how did you get past this point with this vendor or things like that. So you don't have to feel like you're alone with Omnia. That's the whole point behind this, right? So you can join Omnia today out on our website for $79 a month and get access to everything now. So you get access for that $79, you get access to everything that we have ever done, and you get access to everything that we will ever do. So every month we're doing another class, we're doing another webinar, we're always pushing content out. We're always trying to push the space. Last month, Mav did a class on STOs, which nobody else is doing stuff like that. So we're out there on the bleeding edge of crypto right now, trying to help you guys find new opportunities. This is the best way to do that. So yeah, you can buy the class if you want to for the $79 or for $99. But to me, this is the much better deal is to join our group out here. Okay. So I'd like to thank you guys for your attention and let me know if there's anything else. Oh, by the way, let me bring this down here just to give you an idea of what we're doing. So if we want to look at the courses, some of the courses that are out there right now, that you can see what we've done. Okay, so here's some of the courses that you get access to from day one. So building your crypto portfolio, crypto bootcamp, security and wallets, Fractal Energy Masterclass. So you guys have heard me talk about Fractal Energy before. Here's the Futures Trading Masterclass. How to find your next big cryptocurrency. So this is fundamental analysis. Here's intro to TA. Here's passive income. How to create passive income from crypto. Who else is doing that? Security tokens. Nobody else is doing this. Here's the security token masterclass. Here's the short-term trading class that I did, as well as the trend trading class that I did. So a ton of classes that we have here that we built over the last year. We do at least one of these once a month. And we're going to continue to build out this inventory and work with people on this kind of thing constantly. So with that, I would like to thank you guys for your attention and for your patience. And if you want to join us, again, if you want to just buy the class and get access to that class in perpetuity, ReadySetCrypto.com/futures, Futures Masterclass, and that's the discounted price. And if you want to join Omnia, just go into ReadySetCrypto.com/services. You'll see the link for Omnia right in there. And join our group today and start downloading some of that content. All right. Thanks, everybody. I will now shift over to the Wild and Woolly chat screen over here and see if there's any questions coming in. Let's go with little Doc down in the corner so I can interact with you guys and see how everybody's doing here. So Ricky is saying it's just like the stock market. The derivatives market is way bigger. Yep. Yeah, derivatives market has literally got trillions in it. It's amazing. Okay, let's see. So Kevin is, or Crypto Kevin, I've done the Fractal course and I'm excited about this one. Thanks again. You're welcome. You're welcome. We aim to please. We want to do stuff that's going to move the needle for people. So we want to use our experience that's out there to help people, and we want to do it at a reasonable cost for everybody. I mean, there's some big name players out there. You buy a course for $3,000 and what are you going to get? We've all been part of that scam before. Well, Crypto Kevin, we had to make a change, right? We had to have a change. So if you want to join Omnia, either you join Omnia and you get everything, or you can just buy the next class if you want to. It's whatever you want to do. Okay, any other questions out there, guys? I know some of you are just getting your day started out there on the other side of the planet. Welcome aboard. And for some of you, you're into the early evening over in Europe. So have a good evening out there. So with the 79, so Mr. Morales, so with the 79, you get what's in, you get this class and you get everything else. You get everything else, right? So you not only get this class, but you also get, let's see, where did I have this thing down here? So with the 79, so you not only get the newsletter service. So the newsletter service, well, let's see. I could show you in the premium login. Let's go through the login here. And that's WordPress. Never mind. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. So if we go out to our premium home, here's the members area. So you get access to the newsletter archive. You get access to the premium class archive. You get access to, here's my trade school video archive that's out there that you get access to. Every single one of those classes that we've talked about. So here's like the trade schools. Here's how to set up TradingView. Here's how to use Fibonacci retracements. Here's how to do chart patterns and applications, Bollinger Bands, trading book recommendations, everything like that, right? So each one of these comes with its own video. I interact with you guys live. It's a live setting. It's not just a static, dead setting. So again, here's the class archive that you can get access to. So every one of these classes comes with a $79 level, the Omnia service. So did I have any bad experience with BitMEX? Well, first of all, I'm technically not allowed to trade BitMEX. And right now, I don't want to trade BitMEX as a U.S. citizen because we've had other U.S. citizens have their funds like basically, trades shut down right in the middle of a trade and then like, boom, you're done. So that's not a good thing to do. So they made it quite clear that they don't want customers coming in from the U.S. So the issues with BitMEX are well known that are out there, but we'll do in-depth coverage on how to use BitMEX and how to protect yourself with BitMEX. Is it possible to trade futures with a student budget? That's always a tough question. Like, how big of an account do you need to trade something like this? What I would focus on is don't focus on the numerical amount first. What I talk about on the trading framework is to go through 3 stages of trading. First of all, you need to do a paper stage. Prove to yourself that you have a strategy that works. Prove it to yourself over the course of 50 trades that you can create a positive profit factor and decent expectancy. Then you can go to, with these futures brokers, you can literally set up the trading risk on these things to only maybe $1 or $2 per trade. And that's what I want you to do is in stage 2, go with a very, very low risk value. So you get the live trading experience, but you're not really risking anything. And then in stage 3, you earn the right to eventually swing a big stick. By that time, hopefully you put so much work into this that you've gotten your trade account funded up a little bit better, because flying over the tops of the trees tends to cause some really unusual trading experiences, right? Oh, thank you, Tony. Okay, so Craig, I don't know the answer to that question. Thank you, Ryan. What is the best way to turn Bitcoin into cash? That's a great question. There's lots of different ways you can. What I would say is you got to pick one way to do that. Don't be like everybody else and try to be a jack of all trades. You'll end up being a master of none. So this is what so many of us do, is that we're all over the place, right? We're trying one thing, and this is what I see from everybody that's out there. Hey, let's try this for a little bit. Hey, look at this bright shiny penny over there. Let me try that for a while. Let me try this. Let me try this. Let me try this. So we just kind of run around and try different things, and we wonder why we never really get good at anything, or we never really create a positive return, because it takes expertise to create edge in any market that you're doing. I don't care whether it's, whatever you're doing, right? It takes expertise. It takes singular focus to get to that point. So what I'm always telling people is, don't be a jack of all trades. You'll be a master of none. So pick one thing, find your one thing, and get really, really, really good at that. And then from there, if you want to, after you get good at that one thing, you can add a second thing and go through the same thing to do that. Hey, Leonardo, welcome aboard. Thank you. Question number 2, really want to learn. Do you recommend getting Omnia to alleviate the time learning and unguided learning? Omnia is great for giving you a broad exposure about what you can do, and also finding point solutions. So what I want you to do is, if you're going to find your one thing, don't try to learn everything at once, but say, okay, I've looked at all these different options to make money in the markets, and this is the one. Maybe you're going to go into something like this. I'm going to be a short-term trader. This makes total sense to me. Right? So this is what you do, is that you say, based on my short-term trading goal, what is it that I need to do to find edge in this? And maybe it's going to be a combination of short-term trading, fractal energy trading, as well as futures contracts. So you put these all together in the right combination, and all of a sudden you've got some edge that works for you when you use risk management. So I want you to get, have a big wide purview of what's available out there, but then find your one thing and then go deep on the one thing and use the resources that's in Omnia to attain what you want to for your one thing. That way you don't have to buy this course and then, hey, I like that course, let me buy that one. And you don't have to go through these point solutions. You've got an entire almost academy out there. It's almost like the version of Khan Academy that we talk about, which is out there for your use. Is it illegal to short crypto if you're in the US? No, it's not illegal to short crypto. You have to have the right broker, or you can use a futures contract. If you're in the US, there's 2 futures contracts that are available to you that you can trade right now today, and you can take short positions just as easily as long positions. Can you or have you made money during a bear market? Of course, you can actually make money much faster during a bear market if you know what you're doing. Prices tend to take the stairs up and they take the window down, but it's very difficult to time an entry into a bear market. You almost have to be in it to win it. It almost has to be a duration over direction type of decision. Okay, so I'll take one more question here. We're getting up to the top of the hour, and I wanted to thank everybody for attending today. Hopefully you learned something from today's presentation. I wanted to expose you to futures. I think futures is going to be the big story of the crypto market in 2019. Maybe in 2020, we'll actually get some better derivatives for different things like options. Right now, options for crypto are horrible. They are illiquid. There's hardly anything written out there, but that's when the big money will really start to step on the gas, when they can manage risk through options and not just futures. Pearl Grandma, so when you're talking a contract, does that mean only certain exchanges? every exchange has got their own definition of a contract, right? So the CME has got their definition of a contract. The CBOE has got their definition of a contract. Those can be traded on some U.S. brokers. And then you get into the synthetic futures providers like a BitMEX or a PrimeXBT or a BEX Plus or even Digitex. Those are what I call synthetic futures providers. They're not trading a futures contract which is regulated by the CFTC with an expiration date on it. What's happening is they're defining a perpetual contract every day that just goes on in perpetuity. So everybody's going to have a slightly different solution, but we're all calling them futures because they all operate in the same way. Okay, guys, last reminder here before I take off. If you want the course only, if you're intrigued by the course only, and that's all you want, is you want that $99 price in the course, which goes away soon, ReadySetCrypto.com/futures gets you into the Masterclass today. Or if you want to take the broader picture for actually a lower initial investment for Omnia, join us at Omnia. Join the rest of the team at Omnia. Don't trade it alone. Go to ReadySetCrypto.com/services and join us at Omnia. And that is my presentation for today. Again, thank you very much for attending. I appreciate your patience hanging out with me today. And I hope everybody has a great evening and an even better weekend. Thanks, everybody. You guys take care, and I will see you on the flip side.
Aside from my soul, there goes a sight, there goes a sight. Now there goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight from my soul.